All right. Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive with us.
It's great to be back.
So today we're going to be looking at all the business news from February 7th, 2025.
Yeah, we've got kind of a grab bag of different topics today.
Yeah, we've got some U.S. economic news.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some AI news.
Of course.
And then even just for fun, what's going on with egg prices in Canada.
Yeah, got to keep an eye on the important stuff, right?
Absolutely. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to see all these headlines in a whole new light.
And the interesting thing is these seemingly disparate stories, they actually all tie together
Yeah.
to tell a really compelling story.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating to see how those connections emerge.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's jump right in. First up, the U.S. economy.
Okay.
So on the surface, things seem relatively okay.
Right?
143,000 new jobs were added in January.
Yeah.
Unemployment rate dipped down to 4%.
It's good so far.
Yeah, but here's the catch,
Oh.
that job growth,
Yeah.
slower than what we've been seeing.
Oh.
So not exactly the roaring economy some folks were hoping for.
So maybe not all sunshine and roses.
Right. And to make things a little more interesting, the average 30-year mortgage rate dropped to 6.89%.
Huh. Okay. Now, at first glance, you might think lower mortgage rates, that's a good thing, right?
Right.
But if you think about it in the context of this slower job growth, it could actually be a sign that the economy is cooling down,
Yeah.
potentially making people a little bit hesitant to make big purchases like a house.
Right.
So it's not as simple as it might seem on the surface.
Right. And then just to add even more uncertainty to the mix,
Okay.
the U.S. trade deficit
Huh.
hit a record high in 2024.
Oh, wow.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, that's basically the difference between how much we're importing versus how much we're exporting.
Right.
When we're importing way more than we're exporting,
Yeah.
that usually signals some potential issues.
Yeah, and it's definitely something to keep an eye on because a record trade deficit like that could be a sign of some global instability.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Potential price increases due to inflation,
Yeah.
maybe even, the dreaded trade wars between countries.
Yeah. No one wants to see that.
Right. And it's not just a U.S. issue either. I mean, the Bank of England actually just cut their U.K. growth projection in half.
Wow.
They're lowering interest rates to try and combat inflation.
Okay.
And they're even talking about the risk of trade wars as well.
So we've got economic question marks on both sides of the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Now, just to throw something completely different into the mix,
Okay.
we have DOGE.
To GE.
Yes, that DOGE, the meme cryptocurrency,
The one and only.
is developing an AI chatbot to analyze government contracts.
Wow. What is going on?
So is this the future of transparency in government,
Hmm.
or is this something else entirely?
I think this is a really fascinating development because it shows how AI is really moving beyond just, those kind of typical things like self-driving cars.
Right.
We're talking contract analysis, code writing, even art.
Yeah.
I mean, this DOGE bot is a perfect example of how AI is quietly becoming a bigger part of our lives, and it's happening faster than a lot of people realize.
Yeah. It's easy to miss.
Hmm.
So speaking of AI taking over the world, Amazon just invested $100 billion into AI this year.
100 billion with a B.
With a B, they're not messing around.
That is a serious commitment.
Yeah, so this feels like a major bet on the future.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think?
I mean, they're not just dipping their toes in the water here.
Right.
They are diving headfirst into the AI pool,
Yeah.
and they're aiming to make a big splash. What's really important to understand here is that Amazon, they're not just playing around.
Yeah.
They want to dominate the AI landscape.
It's interesting. It's almost like an arms race.
Yeah, it really is.
To see who can develop and deploy this stuff the fastest.
Yeah. And on that note, OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, they're setting up AI data centers in at least 16 states across the U.S.
So this isn't just a Silicon Valley thing anymore.
Nope.
AI is spreading its reach across the entire nation.
It's everywhere. If you look at the stock market, it's clear that investors are taking notice. I mean, companies like NVIDIA, AMD, and Palantir,
Oh, yeah?
all major players in the AI chip space.
Yep.
They're seeing their stock prices skyrocket.
Yeah, I mean, anytime I see those stock tickers, it seems like they're always going up.
Right, and that surge in investor confidence, that's a really strong signal that AI is being seen as the next big thing.
Yeah, everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Mm.
But as AI becomes more powerful,
Mm-hmm.
it also raises some, potentially thorny questions.
Uh-oh, like what?
So, for instance, the UK government is demanding access to Apple users' encrypted accounts.
Mm.
And of course, they're saying it's about security,
Anyway, national
keeping everyone safe. But is this really about keeping us safe?
Yeah.
Or is this just Big Brother creeping into our digital lives?
Well, I think the situation really highlights one of the biggest challenges of the digital age.
Right.
How do we balance national security with individual privacy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one.
Governments, they argue that they need access to this data to prevent crime, terrorism.
Of course.
But privacy advocates, they worry that this kind of access could be abused,
Yeah.
leading to mass surveillance,
Right.
erosion of our personal liberties.
Yeah, no one wants to live in that world.
It's a very complex issue
Yeah.
with no easy answers.
Right. So while all that's happening, we also have Google deciding to drop their diversity hiring targets.
Oh, interesting. What's that all about?
Well, this is actually part of a larger trend that
Yeah.
we're seeing.
Okay.
A lot of companies are reevaluating their diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies.
They're DEI strategies.
Yeah. Some folks argue that these initiatives have gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
Others believe that they're more important now than ever.
Right.
So this is another one of those really complex issues
Yeah, for sure.
that has major implications for workplace diversity and equality moving forward.
Absolutely.
Now, just to bring in something a little bit lighter,
Okay.
egg prices are dropping in Canada.
Oh, finally some good news.
I know, right? So could this be a sign of oversupply, or is there something else going on?
It might seem random, but even something like egg prices can be a clue to some larger economic trends.
Okay.
It could indicate oversupply of eggs,
Right.
maybe some seasonal shifts in production, even changes in consumer demand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good reminder that those seemingly small details can sometimes reveal some bigger economic forces at play.
Yeah, so it's all connected.
It always is.
Yeah, even when it seems completely random.
You got to look for those hidden connections.
Exactly. So it really is fascinating how something like the price of eggs in Canada
Right.
can connect back to, these global economic trends.
It's all connected.
And speaking of connections, those trade tensions that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, they could actually be hitting you right in the wallet soon.
Oh, no? How so?
Get this, U.S. shoppers might be looking at like a $50 price hike
What?
on packages that are shipped from China.
Wow. So this is a perfect example of how these global economics can have a very real and direct impact on our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Trade disputes, tariffs, even just currency fluctuations.
Right.
They all play a role in what we end up paying for goods and services.
Right. And not to mention even what's available to buy.
Exactly. I mean, think back to the supply chain issues during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Empty shelves, shipping delays, people fighting over toilet paper.
Oh, I remember those days.
It was chaos.
It was wild.
And it really highlighted just how fragile that global system can be.
Yeah.
And, when we see these recent events like the U.S. trade deficit, the U.K.'s economic worries,
Right.
it suggests that we might be in for another, bumpy ride.
Yeah, hold on tight.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah.
It always is, but this is why it's so important to stay informed,
Yeah.
to understand the forces, both big and small,
Mm-hmm.
that are shaping the world around us.
Right.
Because that's what allows us to make more informed decisions about our lives, our finances, even our future.
Yeah, it's not just about reading the headlines.
Right.
It's about understanding what's really going on behind them.
Exactly.
And with so much information out there,
Oh my gosh, I know.
it's more important than ever to be able to analyze that information critically.
Couldn't agree more. It's not just about absorbing information.
Oh.
It's about critically analyzing it, questioning assumptions, considering different perspectives.
Right.
In a world overflowing with information, the ability to think critically is crucial.
It's like having a built-in BS detector.
Precisely. A BS detector for the 21st century.
I like that.
And speaking of needing a good BS detector,
Good.
let's circle back to AI for a moment. We've talked about the incredible potential of this technology,
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
but it's really important to also consider
Yeah.
the limitations
Mhm.
and the potential downsides.
Yeah, the flip side.
Because it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of it all,
Oh, for sure.
but we have to remember that AI, it's a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good
Ah.
or for, less than good purposes.
Right.
So we need to make sure that it's developed and used ethically,
Yeah.
responsibly, with the right safeguards in place.
It's like that old saying,
What's that?
with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, we can't just embrace AI without thinking about those potential consequences,
Absolutely. It's not about being afraid of it.
right?
It's about understanding it,
What
its
is that?
potential, and shaping its development
Yeah,
in a way that benefits all of society.
right. So we need to be really thoughtful and deliberate
Mm-hmm.
about how we integrate AI into our lives
Mm.
and make sure that it serves humanity
Yeah.
and not the other way around.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I don't know about you, but it can feel kind of overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like drinking from a fire hose,
Right.
just constant information coming at us from all directions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think, maybe by understanding those bigger forces at play,
Mm-hmm.
we can actually feel a little bit more, I don't know, empowered
Empowered.
to
Yeah.
kind of navigate it all.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's not about, getting bogged down in the weeds of every single news story,
Yeah.
but it's about recognizing those underlying trends and
Yeah.
how they connect to our lives. That's
Yeah.
what gives us the ability to make informed choices, not just react to whatever's thrown at us.
Right, exactly. And that brings us back to kind of where we started.
A circle.
Yeah, full circle.
Yeah.
In a world where it feels like algorithms and data are calling the shots,
Right.
where do we fit in?
Yeah, good question.
Do we just become passive passengers on this wild ride?
Well, I don't think it has to be that way. I
Yeah.
think, the way I see it is
Yeah.
understanding those forces at play,
Mm-hmm.
the economics, the tech, those social trends.
Right.
That's what gives us the ability to,
Yeah.
steer the ship,
Steer the ship, yeah.
even if it's just a little bit.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so instead of being, swept along by the current,
Right.
we can actually learn to navigate it.
Exactly.
Maybe
Yeah.
even use it to our advantage, right?
But exactly. And remember, this is a continuous process.
Oh,
There's no finish line
yeah,
when it comes to staying informed.
for sure.
It's all about continuously learning, questioning, and adapting.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks.
That's a wrap.
Another deep dive.
I did it.
We explored, the ups and downs of the economy,
Mhm.
peeked into the crazy world of AI,
The ever-evolving world.
right? And even considered the power of individual choices in shaping the future.
The power of one. Right.
Yeah, and we hope that you found this exploration as enlightening as we have.
I know. I certainly did.
And remember, the journey doesn't end here.
It never does.
Keep those critical thinking caps on,
Yeah.
stay curious, and keep asking those tough questions.
Ask those questions.
That's how we all learn and grow, both individually and as a society.
Very well said.
Until next time, folks, stay informed.
Stay curious out there.